Hello, hello, everyone. It's Amy Bolton here, Intuitive Wild Woman, Medicine Woman, and I'm here to share with you the third part of my Sacred Spirit plant healing series, a mini series that I've created for you. I'm just going to make sure that I'm going to pull you guys up over here so I can see your messages because we had that issue over here, right? Let's see. Oh, here I am. I think, let's see, open, is that gonna work? Let's see, technology, while you're watching, because if you're watching, you're probably watching the replay, I would love to hear from you. Let me know if you've watched the other parts or if you're just starting here. If you haven't watched the other parts of this series, feel free to go back and check them out because they're great. We went through what sacred spirit plant healing is in general and ways to go about it and start your journey with it. And we also talked about your power plants, so the plants that mean a lot to you and can teach you and guide you in many ways by listening to their spirit. And I guided you through a quick little short meditation for you to find your plant spirit animal, which you can go back if you'd like, and you can pause and get ready and go through it and come back and do it that way if you'd like. Let's see. Okay, I was in the event. I tried to make this all ready for it, and here we are. There we are. There I am.
Let's see.
Okay. Pause. Pause. Okay. No comments. Yeah, perfect. So I should be able to see your comments here, which is wonderful. Yay. Okay. All right, let's get started. Okay, I've got my notes here. I'm all ready to go. So today we're talking about cranberries, actually. Cranberries is, it's not really the season for cranberries right now, but that is totally okay. The reason we're starting with cranberries is because I've written a book called Searching for the Cranberries. And it's a memoir of the lessons, stories, and initiations through the elements. So I've shared a lot of the stories. I've come to understand that the way I grew up, my life, my childhood, is very unique and different to many people out there. Not a lot of people grew up with a giant, vast, huge forest next door to them with more animals and plants and creatures than humans. I like to call it, instead of the middle of nowhere, I like to call it the middle of somewhere beautiful. It's a very remote space, very isolated, not very many humans, however, rich in plant spirits, rich in forests, rich in, I want to say non-forest resources, right? Like, there's medicines full in the forest, and some of these medicines and these plants only grow within these ecosystems when they're all interconnected. I use the word interconnected a lot in my book because that's how I see the forest and the world, and how I see all of us kind of interconnected in this web that's kind of woven within our energy. So cranberries, that's why cranberries were called to me this month, is because my book is basically about cranberries. So where I grew up, I shared a little bit about this in the last couple of series, is we had a fall tradition of going and picking cranberries. And I would always make my own. Like, I haven't had store-bought, well, never mind. Is because I used to go in our backyard and we would pick low bush cranberries. So there's a couple different types of cranberries. There's low bush cranberries that grow, and they're really, they're sweeter and they don't have the seeds inside. So they're really easy to pick. You pick them, you gather them, and then you can just turn them into like a cranberry sauce or jelly. I don't actually have cranberry sauce because we'll get into that. The reason my book is called Searching for the Cranberries is because I haven't necessarily found some low bush cranberries quite yet. I'm working on it. It's taken me a few years. I think I've found some high bush cranberries. I do have some still in my freezer from up north. However, high bush cranberries, you have to strain the seeds out and do that sort of thing. So it's a little bit more work. I'm all about finding the simplest way, the easiest way, the most direct route with the least resistance, the least resistant path when I'm working on things. This is not cranberry jelly, but this is a cherry jelly that we made last year out of a bunch of different berries that we're growing local, and a lot of the berries I talk about in my book, and some wild cherries that we're growing in our yard. So I think there's Saskatoons, raspberries, blueberries, likely some thimbleberries. I'm not sure. I just kind of took whatever I had in my freezer and I threw it in a pot and I made this. I know we're going to get to the recipes. I'll get a little bit more in depth, but that's pretty much it, right? Like, I'm all about making things simple, and that's why I shared with you guys, like, if you just lay out your herbs and dry them and then throw them in a jar, right? It doesn't even have to be a fancy canning jar like this one. It can just be a recycled jar from the store, right? So these are the things, like, I really like to make things simple, and it doesn't have to be complicated. Like, we overcomplicate things. You can just take things, dry them, put them in jars, take berries, throw them in the freezer. I put them on baking sheets, right? So cranberries, I would throw them on a baking sheet, throw them in the freezer, and then throw it into a Ziploc bag. Done. Don't have to think about it. And then if you want, you can make fresh cranberry sauce for Thanksgiving dinner or whatever celebratory type of dinner you want. I always associate Thanksgiving dinner with cranberry sauce and turkeys, but that's just me and the way I grew up with my family and what we ate. But however you like to have your cranberries, you could even make cranberry juice out of them. You could make all kinds of things. But like I say, you start with throwing them in the freezer, so it's simple. Because if we pick all these berries and we just let them sit in our fridge or let them sit on our counters, they won't get used. And then what is going to happen? They're going to go in the trash, or they're going to go into the compost or whatever, right? And then what a waste. Like, we don't want to waste all of our hard labor that we've taken and all of the intention and the time we've taken out there picking these things. And that's such a respect, and you're not having the highest regard and sacredness to these plants, right? So when we are harvesting, we want to make sure we have a plan for saving them and not letting things go bad. So drying or freezing is super simple and super quick. Okay, I'm getting a little distracted. Let's look at my guideline and see what is going on. So again, if you are watching the replay, say hi, let me know how you're doing, drop an emoji. I'd love to hear from you. If you have any specific questions around sacred spirit plant healing, feel free to drop them, and I can always address them next month, or I can chat with you in the comments throughout the month to answer any of your questions. So I have shared a little bit about the medicine of cranberries and where I have been connected to them. So cranberries are full and rich of vitamins, and berries are just so nourishing for us. And they are they're a very good detox as well for cleansing our system. Like, think of, so if you ever have any bladder problems, quite often people will say, drink cranberry juice, right? Because it cleanses our system, it cleans our system. They're tart, they're a bit sour. The high bush are a bit more sour than the low bush. I like the low bush after the first frost. We're not really in cranberry season. However, it's kind of fun because I wrote this book, Searching for the Cranberries, and when it was published, just before I published it, it was kind of fun because I think in the back of our property, I found some high bush cranberries or red currants of some kind. I haven't fully identified them because the buds are just starting to pop out of some of the trees. We don't have quite enough rain and sunshine yet for the spring leaves to come out so I can fully identify those plants. And this is what I talked about in the previous episodes as well, is taking the time to learn from a plant season by season by season by season. So if you have any plants or any nature or any connection close to you where you can go back through the seasons, including wintertime, it's a very powerful connection to have with a plant, is to watch it throughout the seasons. And interestingly enough, I'm in northern BC, Canada. Some of these plants that get buried in snow, like deep, deep snow, can actually be harvested in the winter. And Indigenous folk did that, right? They would dig under the snow to get the fresh greens. Bearberries in particular, I don't actually talk about that in my book. There's lots of plants I don't talk about in my book, but I still work with them. These were just the ones that really wanted the stories and lessons to be shared with the world as I was writing. And I have more book ideas coming. So, so there, a lot of these plants can be harvested under the snow in the winter. And it's interesting to kind of notice how strong and resilient some of these plants are, right? And cranberries is one of those. They're very resilient, very strong, and they have the beautiful, beautiful berries at the end of the season that are so, so helpful for us. They push out toxins. They grow in like marshy sides. Like it was right on the side of the lake where they always grew for us, on the sunny facing, south facing slopes, because north, mostly the sun only hits the south facing slopes. The north facing slopes, they're pretty barren. They don't have cranberries. So if you are looking for cranberries, that is one way to find them. Cranberries are very fragile. So likely the best way for you to get cranberries is just going to buy them in the store. I know the domestic cranberries, they're a lot bigger. They're really big. The ones that I'm used to up north, they're just little guys, little tiny berries. But they're rich in minerals and vitamins and just tasty. And the high bush, like I say, they're a bit higher. They have the seeds in them, need to be strained out. I've said that multiple times, but that's... I was talking to somebody yesterday, or the day before yesterday, and they were, don't they just grow low? And I'm like, no, there's multiple berries. But like I say, the high bush cranberries that I'm talking about are like a red currant, right? So if you have red currants, that's similar. I'm not really the herbalist or the person who's gone through school and learned all this stuff. I use my intuition. That's why I'm the intuitive wild woman, medicine woman, because I learn from the plants and I connect with the plants, and my favorite playground is just being in the forest and learning. And if you can go out and play, and when I was talking to somebody about sacred spirit plant healing last month, they had asked me where to start, and just think about playing. Just think about having fun. Like, think about what maybe your inner child didn't get when you were younger, when you're out in the forest, and be curious. Look at the plants. Take your phone, take pictures, and see if you can identify what those plants are. Come back again in a different season. Take pictures and keep doing that, and keep playing and having fun and learning. And that's the best way to do it, is just to keep showing up and learning and playing. And if you move a lot, it gets a little trickier because you can't be in one location for all the seasons. But that's how we establish these connections with these plants. I've only been in this house since October. However, the tree out there, I've just started connecting with its spirit, actually, now that spring's coming and it's waking up and it's coming alive, and I can have this energetic conversation with the tree. It's been very dormant and very quiet, that tree out there. There's other plants that are more lively in the winter, but in order to discover these things, it takes practicing it, right? And if you're interested in more information on that, which some of you have done, reach out, and I'm happy to hop on a call with you, just a short call, just to dive into it a little deeper. And if you're really, really into this, maybe we can set something up so I can help mentor you a little bit more throughout it all. But I do recommend starting with my book and just kind of getting a feel for how I work and how that all kind of ties together, right? These are stories throughout my life and initiations through the elements and the seasons and all the things. Okay, so what I wanted to do is guide you through a little gentle meditation here today, using the cranberry energy to release your emotions and invite clarity. So if you are watching the replay, feel free to pause, get yourself, comfortable, get yourself some water, get some tea, get yourself in a spot where you're comfy, and take a moment and take a breath deep into your belly, all the way down into your womb space or your lower chakras, your root. And release with sound. Release with sound. A big sigh. Just keep breathing and releasing. And if you're finding yourself in a space where maybe you're not fully able to vocally release, then maybe pause for a moment and find a space to do that, or find a time that you can do that. Just keep breathing with me here. And release all that energy. Clear that channel. Just let yourself relax. Let your nervous system know that you're safe. You're safe here with me and my voice and the spirit of Cranberries. So I just want you to imagine that you're sitting out on a beautiful sunny day in a field, and you're just basking in the sun and just enjoying the sunshine. And you decide to get up and go for a little walk. So you wander through the forest's edge, and as you're going through the forest, you notice the big, tall trees around you, whatever they may look like. Notice what season it is. It's most likely fall. There's likely going to be many different colors in the trees, the beautiful popping reds from below. The oranges and yellows up higher in the canopy, the deep greens of the conifers. You're going through the forest and you're noticing that the season is changing, and you can smell that scent of fall, the decaying plants and how they're going back to the earth, and leaves are falling and floating down gently. There might be a breeze blowing. You can hear it rustling through the trees. And you're walking and you're just basking in the beauty of the fall season, the autumn. And noticing that everything is just getting ready for a sleep. It's getting ready for winter. You see pops of red rose hips along the trail. And you remember the beauty of the roses as they sat there in the spring, and how they've changed and transformed. And as you come over, you notice that there is a beautiful, beautiful marsh with lily pads and cranberries all along the edge. There's water all in front of you, vast, beautiful marsh of water with all kinds of animals and creatures around, just living interconnected in this beautiful ecosystem. You're just observing and watching and watching. And you see the beautiful, plump, low bush cranberries down on the forest floor. Right down, you hunch down, get down on your knees, and you look at the cranberries. And you're listening to them and noticing them. Maybe you take one and you taste it. And you taste the tart sourness. It hasn't quite frosted yet, so it's a little bitter and a little tart. And you look up at the water and you notice some cranberries floating out in the water. And you realize they're asking you what you're ready to let go of. As you're digesting and tasting the taste of cranberries in your mouth, salivating, and watching the cranberries float out on the water. What are you letting go of? What are they asking you to cleanse from your body, from your life, from your environment? Even digitally, are they asking you to clean up your emails, your windows on your computer, your home, your space? It's a good time of year in the spring and in the fall for us to think about where we need to let go of things and clean and cleanse. What emotions do you need to move and let go of? What emotions do you need to sit with and feel and then let go? Let those emotions go. And if you'd like to, you can take the time to get out your journal after you're done and write about that. What do you need to let go of? What do you need to cleanse? What emotions need to move? Feel free to dive into that and let cranberries really, really inspire you and let you move forward. Now you can wander back, stand up in your meditation, and come back into the sun. Slowly come back into the room, stretching, moving, wiggling, shaking, releasing, allowing your body to do whatever it needs to do. Move your body, shake your body. Let go, let go, let go, let go. Come back to the room. And now what we can do is you can pause and you can finish doing what you need to do with your body and trusting that your body is here to guide you and cranberries are here to guide you as you move forward. And then you can come back to this when you're ready. So now I'm going to move into talking a little bit more about recipes. So as I showed you in the beginning, I've got a jar of jam here that's like, it's just called a berry cherry, and I'm getting better at labeling things. I have the date, 24. It was made in the summer of 24, likely the fall after we picked the berries. And there's berries and cherries in here. So I've labeled it, which is important. I didn't always do this, and then I was relying on my memory. And then you're like, what is this jar? I think I know what it is, but I don't know how old it is. So remember to label your stuff. Label your plastic bags, your Ziploc bags if you're freezing. Label your jars if you're freezing. Label your stuff. Good tip. Simple, but good. So when we're taking cranberries, I have some frozen ones in my freezer, but I didn't think they would be very happy and it would be food safe to bring them up here and show them to you. But they are high bush cranberries. So what we do with them is we take them and we boil them. So any berries you have, if you ever want to make a berry jam or a sauce or a whatever, put them in the pot. Warm it up. I don't know, medium temperature. Keep an eye on it. Stir it. Make sure it doesn't burn. You know, that sort of thing. If you burn it, it's okay. It happens. But just try and pay attention because this is very sacred, beautiful stuff that you harvested, right? So you want to put lots of intention and love into it. And you just heat it up. And then the thing that you can use is I am drawing a blank to the name of it because I haven't used it for pectin. If you want, you can use pectin. You don't have to use pectin. Apples have natural pectin, so do cherries. In this actual this jam that I created is cherries in it, so it helps solidify it. So again, I like to do things really simply. You can always go and find a recipe and follow the recipe. You can always do that if you feel more comfortable. But I've been getting more and more comfortable with just trusting my intuition when it comes to cooking and creating. And yes, baking does need specific measurements for certain recipes in order to have the exact same result every time. However, I really, really strongly encourage you to start playing, right? So we were playing in the forest, and we were connecting with the plants and nature and all these things. Come back and play in your kitchen, right? It's as simple as putting these berries from your freezer or from the forest straight, or from the store, right? Cranberries, likely you're going to be getting your cranberries from the store. Putting them in a pot and letting them slowly simmer, slowly, no higher than medium heat, maybe low heat. I always cook things a little too hot because I'm in a rush. My husband tells me to slow down. Low, medium heat, and just cook them and smash them and stir them. And if you need to, you can always add a little tiny bit of water if you need to. You shouldn't need any. You really shouldn't, because you're trying to make it thick. But if for some reason, it seems like it needs it, trust your intuition, right? You can add sugar or honey if you want. I quite often don't, because the berries are sweet enough on their own, especially if you add some sweet berries with it. But cranberries, we want it to be tart, don't we? We want it to be a little sour. We want it to taste like a cranberry. You look at a store-bought cranberry sauce, it's going to have sugar added to it. It is a preservative. And it is also addictive. So that's how they sell us on many things. So depending on your taste, you can add, honey, even stevia, the plant that is sweet. You can add sugar, whatever. Play with it a little bit. Lemon, I like to add a little bit of lemon, either lemon juice or a little squeeze of it. And like I say, either cherries or apples are great pectin if you don't have pectin. And that's it. You stir it up, wait till it's thick. Now, jarring and canning, there is safety precautions, and I encourage, if you're into jarring or canning, take a lesson or take a course on it. Maybe I'll do that at some point. Learn I know the federal food safety people in Canada and in the US have certain standards to make sure things are safe, right? So we disinfect, we boil our cans, our jars, and our lids and all that sort of stuff. We make sure it's completely boiled, sanitized. And I do have the little jar grabber things, and I put them out, and then I pour my jam, jelly, sauce, cranberry sauce into it. And quite often with cranberries, I just do the little ones because you don't need a lot. And then wipe the top, make sure that the rim is clean. That's a big, big, big thing. Put the lids on, finger tight, and let them sit. And then you're going to hear pop, pop, pop as the jars seal. Now, you're going to watch them for a while, leave them out on the counter. And what's going to happen is likely they're going to seal. The lid is going to be down, right? This is sealed. And you don't even have to leave it with the lid once it's sealed. So it's completely sealed. The government official people recommend having new tops. I sometimes use them, but that's me. That's for myself. I make sure I check my food and make sure it's safe. This is safe. It's sealed. It is sealed. It's going to be a lot less of a risk if you use brand new ones, and that's what they recommend doing. So I would follow the recommendations, and then do what you feel comfortable with, right? Trust your intuition. And like these ones obviously are not sealed because they're just dried goods, right? So if your jar does that poppy thing, right, that's not good. You want to either throw that right in your fridge if you just made jam or jelly and it didn't seal, and consume it within a few weeks, or you can, you know, put it in your freezer in a more freezer safe thing. Jars, I have frozen things in jars. It's not recommended, but you need lots of space for the expansion and the movement, and it's best to not have a sealed lid, to have like something that can move, right? So you could even like just saran wrap it till it freezes solid and then put a lid on it. I like jars because I don't like the excess residue of plastic and things when I'm preserving or saving things. But I hope that helps you. Let me know if you have any questions specifically about it. You know, you could keep boiling it down, and you could make and add more liquids to it and make more of a cranberry juice, like a very, very condensed cranberry flavoring that you could add to water and have that as like a cranberry juice as well. So yeah, that's the way I use cranberries. And I love working with berries of all kinds. And that's what I have for you there. And I love knowing that the stuff that we create at home, that I know what I've put into it, right? There's so many preservatives and weird ingredients and things on the back of things we buy in the store, right? So if you're not already, I encourage you to look at what you're buying, right? Look at the ingredients. I always go by the 5 rule. It has to have less than 5 ingredients. So if you're buying something with cranberries in it, it should just have cranberries. Maybe it'll have a little bit of sugar, but it really shouldn't have more than cranberries. Like cranberry juices out there should really just have cranberries. And just noticing if it's like actually real cranberries or not versus some artificial things. I don't know. There's some interesting things out there. But look at your ingredients. And if you can't really buy those and make things with them at home, you might not be wanting to put that into your body. And trust yourself. You know, when you actually look at the ingredients on something and then you're like, what is that? I encourage you to really trust that maybe doesn't need to be in your body. Okay, so what else were we gonna talk about? Okay, so we've done the recipe, we've done the meditation, and now, again, I've talked about it a little bit, but my book is out, and that's why we started with cranberries today, is because my book is about searching for the cranberries. And this has stories and the lessons and the initiations through the elements. Oh, actually, I was just talking about the low bush, and I have a picture in here. This is what low bush cranberries look like. And of course, there's bearberries among them as well. These are the leaves that I was talking earlier about that can be harvested under the snow in the winter. So there's a lot. That's like, wow, look at that harvest. That's a lot of cranberries. So this is what I grew up with, picking in my backyard. And yeah, I can hear the geese outside. The Canadian geese is a sign of spring and fall. I love them. I'm not sure what else I shared in here, but I know we've been looking for cranberries for a while, and I share a little bit about that. And that's so cool that picture's in there. I love that. It just it just makes me so happy. One day I'll find abundant cranberries like that. But the thing is I think people are over harvesting in some places, and I share a little bit about that in the introduction of my book. And this is where tuning in and listening to the plants and listening to the messages and really trusting our intuition is so powerful, because we start to have this respect for the plant. We start to really honor the plant and really appreciate what is around us, right? Being grateful for what is available to us. And what I'm finding too is the other thing, I guess, the message that wants to come through right now is to not be scared. Don't be scared of the forest. Don't be scared of nature. Yeah, there are things we have to be aware of. You know, we want to be safe when we're out. You know, packing a small first aid kit is a smart thing to do. You know, making sure we have lots of water when we're out in nature is a smart thing to do. Making sure we have somebody knowing where we're out and about in is important to do. And obviously knowing what you're foraging and if it's a vulnerable species or not. I don't know if I will find cranberries. It's been very secretive around here, me finding them. Like I say, I think I found some high bush, but it's going to take a little bit of time for me to identify that in this new location that I'm in. However, we can work with the cranberries from the stores and that are domestically produced for us to consume as well. Yeah, so just have fun and play with it when you're out there in the forest and be safe about it. And that's how we learn, is by being curious and playing and learning and connecting with the plants around us. If you have any questions or comments, feel free to drop them and I will definitely get back to you. What else? Anything else? I think that's about all I had for today. I really encourage you to connect with cranberry medicine and play with it and maybe make your own cranberry sauce and do those types of things. And definitely I'll drop the link for my book. You can always read my book and learn a little bit more. If you want to work more with me, feel free to do that. Reach out. I'm available. I'm happy to answer any questions or have a direct call with you if that feels like it's aligned for you. Yeah, thank you all for watching and connecting with me. And oh yeah, I forgot. I was going to say, if anybody purchases the book today, or while you're watching this live, send me a message and say I purchased your book, and I'll give you a free coupon to get my sound healing, my chakra sound healing clearing meditation that I have available on my website. So you can get that for free once you've purchased my book. Just let me know if you're watching this, and I'll do that between now and the next live. So anytime during April, if you reach out to me and let me know that you've purchased my book, I will give you a coupon code to get that for free. Thank you. Have a beautiful, beautiful day. Talk to you soon.